inequalities, just so you know, that's where we headed. So I stay linear, just lines, but then we're going to go inequalities. Okay, so these are the 3 steps. Rewrite, press y equals, enter the equations. But here are some stars, okay, that are very important. These are going to save you a lot of grief, okay? This is from all my years of teaching how to use a calculator, okay? Always clear old equations by pressing clear. There's a button called clear, believe it or not. You probably have seen it already. Okay, so always clear all old equations. So second star, this is almost like a credit card application when you go star, 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 right? You go to the bottom of it, it's like 3 pages worth of, not quite, but plot 1 needs to be off. In other words, not highlighted. Okay. It needs to be off. Okay. And then the third, you only have hate. No. That's not what I would try to say there. You only have the option of using X. I'm putting that, right, as a variable. By pressing, and this is the button, right? So there's the X, T, theta, or N button. And so in this course or next course, sometimes the variable X is actually T or S or you name it, but we always see it as X. So we'll just enter it as X by pressing this button. It's right next to alpha if you want to look at it quickly on your calculator. And you're going to get to know that one really well. And this is the last one. If the first value, that's like our leading coefficient, is negative, we use the, watch this, a negative with brackets, and I put square brackets around it to indicate that it's actually a button. And I talked about that already. Let me zoom in a little bit, okay, here. I can do that. Some of you are probably squinting there. Okay, so if the first value is negative, we use this, not the actual subtract button. Okay. Once you get all of that ready, now you can press graph. But you need to first make sure all those things that I just talked about here are taken care of. And here's the issue that happens. Quite often you don't see anything. It's like, what? I just typed it in. I can't see anything, Mr. Dirksen, and you start to panic, right? So we'll see this. Can't see anything? Question mark. Try zoom 6, number 6. If you can't see anything, try zoom 6. That's like my first go-to. Right? And what does zoom 6 do? Zoom 6 sets window values to default, which is -10, 10, -10, 10. Right now that means nothing to you, but when you read this again, it will, because I will show you what the window does. Sorry, I have to adjust my camera here a bit. There. And then window, I need you to understand the window. When you press window, right, you can actually put square brackets around it because it's actually a button, right? You will see this: X-min, X-max, X-scale, Y-min, Y-max, sorry there, Y-min, sorry, X-min, X-max, X-scale, Y-min, Y-max, Y-scale, and X-res. You're like, whoa, right? The only ones I want you to focus on are these two, the first two, and the Y-min, Y-max. Other teachers, like in grade 12, you might have teachers actually changing the scale. I never touch those. Okay, I don't. It makes life a lot easier, and you don't really need to touch them. So the X-min, X-max determines the X values displayed. So if you change your min to -10, your max to +10, the screen will show you from -10 to 10. Right? And so as you can guess, the Y min, Y max determines the Y values displayed. So we need to go through this before we go into the fun stuff, right? So let's just, if you grab your calculator real quick, you press on, right? Turn it on. If you ever press a button, so let's just press apps. You see apps like that purple button? And you're like, what do I do now? Second mode is like when you quit. So you press second and then mode. It will always take you back to the home screen. I wish they would just give us a home screen button, but they don't. So that always gets you out of trouble. If you're ever stuck somewhere, second mode, boom, back to home screen. Okay. And let's press window all together. Are those values -10, 10 for you? Probably not, because somebody else used them. So let's try this experiment here. Press zoom. Everybody press zoom. It's right at top here. Zoom, and then press 6, which is zoom standard, Z standard, right? So press 6, and you're going to see a screen. You may or may not have a graph up here. Don't worry about that right now. Go back to window. Press window again. Now you should all have negative 10, 10, negative 10, 10. You know what I'm talking about now? Negative 10, 10, negative 10, 10. Those are the two values that I'm talking about. So 4 in total, right? So now when you press graph, whoa, right? Don't worry about that. This window is now showing you from negative 10 in the x min, right, to 10 x max. Same thing with your y. Y min is at the bottom, y max is at the top. All right. New. This is a new thing that I found out. You know, I just found out by searching the web for new things. You can surprise your grade 12 teachers because I'm pretty sure they haven't done this yet. I asked them about it. To graph vertical lines, comma, do as follows. This is awesome. When I found this out, my students were very excited about that as well. So y is equal to, you have to type in 9 nines like this. That's 6. 9 nines, and then you have to go x minus the number. So you're like, what? Well, this is how it works. To graph line x is equal to 5, would we all agree that if you see this, it's a vertical line? I hope so. X is equal to a number, it's a vertical line. We would then enter this. Y is equal to 999, 999. Right? Too bad it's not like Pizza Hotline number. That'd be easy to remember, right? But it has to be 9. So x minus, what's the number you're trying to graph? It's 5, right? So that would actually let you graph a vertical line like this to graph x is equal to negative 5, 999, 999, 999. What would that turn into? This negative and that negative turn positive. So you'd actually have to go x plus 5. It's always the opposite sign of what you want. And I would like this whole thing to be like boxed in. That's just an aside. We can get away without this, but if you're interested, this is how you do it. Dana, are you here? Okay, good. Let's do some actual math here. For each graph, so for each of the following, rewrite graph using technology or on your calculator. And if you've heard of Desmos, Desmos is often a nice additional tool to help you out. When I say TI, it's the Texas instrument that's using your calculator. Find the Y value, comma, when X is equal to 7. And last, find X value, comma, when Y is equal to 15. So here we go. I'm going to have two side by side, okay? So A is going to be here. We're going to have an equation there, 6x plus 2y is equal to 30. And B is going to be right beside it here, negative 3x minus 5y minus 100 is equal to 0. Why am I rewriting? Because you need to do that anyways to graph them. So let's go ahead. The 6x negative is going to go over to that side. So I'm left with 2y on the left side. 6x comes over adding. The 30 is already there. It stays positive. I go ahead and divide by 2. Y is equal to 3x plus 15. Remember, the 2 affects both of them. And you're done. Okay, so I'm going to box that in. Let's go over and actually, no, I'm going to stick with A for now. So this is I. Okay, now we're going to do double I. Let's graph that one using our calculator. So I'm kind of blocking the other one for now. So press Y equals. Whenever you want to graph anything, you press Y equals. And I don't know if you have stuff in there. If you do, just hit clear. So I go to the first one, hit clear, then I go arrow down, I clear, arrow down, clear, make sure all your equations are all gone. Okay, I'm just going to go check if anything. Sometimes students play pranks on you, by the way. Previous year, they'll have one way at the bottom just to throw you off. I told them not to do it. So make sure you go all the way down and clear it. Okay, they thought it was funny, right? And so there should be nothing. Also, make sure plot 1, 2, and 3, they're not highlighted. So listen carefully. If it's highlighted, it would be like this. It would be solid like that. You just go arrow up, all the way up until it blinks, and then hit enter. And then once you move away from it, it should not be highlighted. That's how things are turned on or off in this class, okay? Which makes me I just want to check something real quick with you. Press mode, everybody, mode. Because your calculators were completely out of battery, some of the settings are completely like they're gone, right? So I want you to have normal, float, and that third one is it will be on radians if it's completely erased. I want you to go over to degree and hit enter. We want to work with degrees once we do trigonometry. Everything else is okay. So the first 3 are the most important ones here for us. Make sure it's set to degrees, not radians. So now we go second quit. Let's press Y equals again and enter this one. So watch how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go press 3. Then I'm going to press this button right here. Let me use my pencil, right? The XT theta N. Press that one and then an X will appear. Then you go plus 15, just like that. And hit enter. You should have that there now. So let's go ahead and graph this thing. So press graph. And there it is. Right? I always want to see all my intercepts. Anybody not seeing anything right now? Make sure you raise your hand. I will come and help you. I'll rescue you. You can't see anything? Can you press zoom 6? Zoom and then 6. Still not? Still not? What's that?
So we go to y equals, and if there's any like, can you see like the y line right there?
Yeah, the equal sign has to be highlighted.
Yeah.
Is yours? Okay. Hit enter. Go to it and hit enter. Yeah.
So do it one more time. Now if you move away, it'll be gone.
Now hit drag. Yeah. You're good. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to give you a different one. That's one of those for now, and then I'll fix it later. Just either ones. I just need to get a calculator. I forgot about. I have to do a reset on that one. Thank you. I'll fix that one. Anybody else? Speak now. Say it. Okay. I'm not going to bite. All right. So graph it. There it is. I want to see my intercepts. So watch carefully right now. Right? What do I want to see more of? This top here is what? My Y max. Right? So where do we go to change that? Window. Right? Remember window? So press window. And we're going to go to Y max and double it. Like do something to it. I press 20 and then I hit enter. I don't think you need to press enter. I'm just so used to it. And then hit graph again. And now you should see the y-intercept. Okay, because I'm now seeing more at the top. The top, way top here is 20 right now. So it says find intercept. So here it is. I'm going to tell you step by step. To find the x-intercept, you need to let y2 equal to 0, and then you're going to press second, trace 5. I will actually box this in because it's important. And we'll do that right now. And it's really unfortunate that these aren't color screens. So next year you're going to get a color screen. But we got to go press y equals. Let y2 equal to 0. Type in y2 equals 0. That's a horizontal line right on the x-axis. And then you have to press graph. And you're like, nothing happened. Yes, something just happened. It actually graphed a line right along here. So we're going to go ahead and and press second, trace, intersect is 5. So you either scroll down or you just go ahead and press 5. And all you have to do is hit enter 3 times. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. It should have found, it says it right at the bottom here, that the intersection between the lines is -5 and 0. You get that? We'll do it one more time. Listen carefully. Y equals, Y2 has to be 0. Both have to be highlighted. The equal signs have to be highlighted. Press graph. You have to graph or else it's not going to graph that horizontal line. So technically there's a line here right now. Then you go second, trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. And -5, 0 is it. So you write that down. So much easier, isn't it? After a while, you'll see what I mean. So that's the X-intercept. The Y-intercept, you press different buttons. You go second, trace, 1, and then you're going to make X, then you're going to make X equal to 0. Okay, so let's do that all together once you've written that down. By the way, what does pressing second makes you select whatever is written in yellow above the button. So when you press second trace, you're really selecting calculate, right? So you're going to use that a lot. Not now. Second trace, right? Second trace 1, it's selecting value. And watch what it does. It's kind of like parking there and just saying, hey, give me an X value and I will give you the Y value on the line. And why are we selecting X is equal to 0? Because the Y-intercept, right? X is equal to 0 at that point. We will use this again, this function. And so 0, 15, right? There it is. 0, 15. And so that was those are my intercepts. I'm done with that. And now triple I is asking for, basically, it's saying that when X is equal to 7, what's Y going to be? When X is equal to 7, what's Y going to be? So this is what you're going to do there. And I'm going to ask you to always write the keystrokes, so make sure you have those. Second trace 1, X is equal to 7, right? And you're going to get the Y value that goes with it. You're going to have to practice. That's the only way. Second trace 1 for value. X is equal to 7. It's positive. And what's Y? 36. Does it make sense that I'm not seeing it on my screen? What's the highest that I'm seeing right now? 20. So I need to be way higher than that. So let's write it down though. In this case, the calculator did not complain. Sometimes it complains when it cannot see it. So let's just write down that 36, get that out of the way. And let's change our window. Go window. And I'm going to go to my Y max in this case and change that to, what should you change it to? 40, 50, right? Whatever you want really, you decide that. A lot of students don't like that. It's like, no, tell me, right? So let's do this again. Unfortunately, once you regraph, you have to do this again. Second trace 1, X is equal to 7. You hit enter, and now you see it, right? It's right there. So good. I just want you to know how to work the window, that's all. What did you just find, folks? You found a point, right? Found point 736, by the way, right? When you do this, you know that x is equal to 7 and y is 36. You found a point on that line, and there it is. And then this one, nope, sorry. I was off here. Did you notice that? So we rewrote, we graphed it on our calculator. So this, the intercepts is triple I. That's an easy fix. And then this was actually, it's Friday, you gotta watch out. And it's a Friday close to a long weekend, so that's even worse. There's that 5. So here it's saying when y is equal to 15, right, what's x going to be? And this is done quite differently, so watch out. You will make y2 equal to 15. Then you will press second trace 5. Those are the keystrokes. And this one you will be able to see. So that's the nice thing here. Let's go press y equals. And you know how y2 is equal to 0? We're going to make that, in this case, 15. Going to draw a line, a horizontal line going through 15. Once you've done that, hit graph. So it's first doing the diagonal, and then it's y2 right there. We already know that one, don't we? Second trace 5. And before we hit enter 3 times, watch this. Once you do that, once you press second trace 5, you can go sideways with your arrow and actually travel along the line. Which line are you on right now? Watch what it says at the top here. It tells you which line you're on, Y1. So press enter there. Anywhere you're traveled along, press enter, and it will jump immediately to the second line. Watch at the top screen here. It tells you that you're now on Y2. And as you're traveling sideways, right, the coordinates are displayed at the bottom. So it's saying you're on the second curve. Anywhere you are on, because we only have 2 curves, you press enter, and guess is just like it's waiting for you to tell it when to start. So you hit, every time you see guess, you hit enter, and you should see intersection 015. That was actually not such a good example to use 15, right? But there it is, because we already found that one. That's also our y-intercept. Okay. Let's do the same thing again, shall we? So I'm going to break this down here. And the keystrokes as to how I find everything, I would strongly recommend you have that on your study sheet. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's rewrite this one. So negative 5y, the 3x, that term is going to go over to the other side. So is this negative 100 constant also going to go over to the other side. So the 3x comes over adding. The negative 100 comes over adding as well because it changed sign, right? Very important to note that. Then I divide everything by negative 5. And so y is equal to, and this is important to me, I picked this for a reason. 3 divided by negative 5 is negative 3 over 5. And then you just put x 100 positive divided by -5 is -20. It happens to be a nice round number. It won't always be. So we got that. We're going to graph it now. Graph, right? So we're just going to, I want you to see how I enter this. Very important. Because I don't want you to use a decimal when it comes to the, you don't have to simplify it, but I want you to enter it as a fraction. So here we go. Let's press y equals. Let's clear everything. You could technically have kept it there, but right now I want you to clear everything. Watch what I'm doing here. I'm going to use bracket -3 like that with a negative button divided by 5 close bracket, right? So I'm entering the slope inside brackets, and then you press X, the xt theta n button, minus, here you use the negative, like, sorry, the subtract. It's only the leading that gets the negative. The second one gets the subtract. And then we hit graph. Are you seeing anything? So don't panic. What's the first thing I want you to do is zoom 6. And it's still not seeing anything. What's going on here? Which way are we expecting this line to go? From left to right. From left to right, it's going to go down, right? So let's just make a little note here. We're expecting the line to go down. Where's my y-intercept? -20, right? So I probably need to look way down on my y-min. Wouldn't you agree? So go to window. I'm going to go to my y-min. And I'm going to go what? Let's go -50 just to be safe. By the way, if you flip this, if you put a smaller number in the max and the bigger one in the min, it's going to give you an error. It's not going to let you graph it. So you need to make sure the smaller number is there, the bigger there. Okay, let's hit graph. And there it is. I know this is like 1980s almost, right? Anyways, that's not a straight line, Mr. Dirksen. I know. Don't get me started. So we see this. We also want to see the x-intercept is somewhere over here, right? Where my pencil is. So what do I need to change to see it? X min or max? Min, right? The min, the smaller is always on. So let's go back to window. I'm super slow, but I know why I'm doing it, okay? So if you're falling asleep, I'm trying to make sure you all follow, okay? You know what? I have a feeling -50 is better. Graph. There it is, right? Now you can see the y-intercept, you can see the x-intercept. You're in a very good place now to graph. So to find information about it, let's say. Okay, so now I will put this window. I went from -50 on my x to 10, and I went from -50 on my y to 10. That is right now the settings I have. Right? And you're like, what do you mean? -50, 10, right? -50, 10. So it's just to tell you that's what was in those places, in those spots. Okay. Let's find the intercepts, shall we? The x-intercept. You know what I will do is I'll do ... and I will show the keystrokes here. y2 is equal to 0. Second, trace 5. And I will put that coordinate in here. I'm going to spoil it for you. I'm going to show you what you're going to see next year. The reason why I'm going to do this is just because you will see okay. Oops. I just want you to see what's happening here. So we're going to let y2 equal to 0, right? Go to y equals and make y2 equal to 0 because that's what this is saying, right? And hit graph. Can you see that line now, right? It's in red. Unfortunately, these ones don't have it, but that's really what's happening. When you see that little bar, like you will see a little bar going up and down when you try to graph. Watch what I'm going to do here, 0. It's actually graphing. Now it's done. So if that's moving up and down, it's trying to graph. So then we go second trace 5 and just hit enter 3 times. Enter, enter, enter. So let's say this is going to happen to some of you. Let's say you, for whatever reason, you press a button. Oh, I just pressed the arrow once. Don't write this down. It's going to be off. So you have to redo it again. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. It's what follows the intersection. That's what you need to write down. So negative 33.33, 0. That's your x-intercept. The y-intercept, let's write it next here as a coordinate. The y-intercept is second trace 1, x is equal to 0. Second trace 1, x is equal to 0. I hit enter, and that gets me negative 20. Y is equal to negative 20. Did we know that already? Yes, but trust me, there will be a time where you're not going to know it. Okay, so you still need to know. Are you quitting because it's Friday, or? Yeah. Are you working? Yeah. Okay. So then we just write this down 0, negative 20 like that. All right. And this one here, it's asking us that when x is equal to 7, what's y going to be equal to? That's what this one is asking. So x is given to you. So you're going to go second trace 1, x is equal to 7, and y is going to be provided. Every time you do this, folks, you're finding a coordinate. Really, every time you do this, you can find the x and the y. So second trace 1, x is equal to 7, and we get negative 24.2, and it shows up on our screen, so it's all good. Negative 24.2. So basically, the point you just found is 7, negative 24.2. It's very important that you know, because I'll ask you, what did you just find? Well, I found a point, 7, negative 24.2. And then the last one, when y is 15, it's asking for x. So this is where you need to graph the line y2 is equal to, we're going to put it in the second equation, and then second trace 5. I don't know if you notice, you either use second trace 1 or second trace 5. That's all you're using for now. It's going to change. So you have to know, which one do I use? So let's go to y equals. We're going to press 15. If it had been negative 15, then you type in negative 15. Not a big deal, okay? Then you hit graph, and I think we're going to have a window problem. Sorry, sideways. Do you see the second line? No, right? What are we seeing up top here right now? What's the highest we can see? Window? Yeah, somebody said 10. The Y max is just 10. We need to have that at least at 20 or 30. I'm going to go 50. Go big or go home, right? Because I don't want to keep going back and forth. That's why I'm doing that. But if you're investigating, that's what you should be doing. What is the problem now? I need to see more that way, which is X min, right? I know you're all thinking it, I hope. So X min, we're going to go negative 70. Oh, look at what I just did. Let's just see what happens. So I put 70 in there. That's wrong. Window range is wrong. Something is off. Okay, I'll fix it, right? So you get a window and you go negative 70 there. Then hit graph. And now I think it's going to work out for us. See, now we see the intersection. So let's go second, trace 5. Enter. No. Yes, sorry. I just lied to you on your notes. Can you change that to a 5 here? Sorry. There's so much to explain that I kind of lose my focus a little bit. So you get X is equal to negative 58.33. So 2 decimals if that happens. So we found the point negative 58.3315. I will make a note here. Window changed to, and I'm going to read off my window right here. Negative 70, 10, negative 50, 50. That way I'm able to see the graph. I hope this makes a little bit of sense. I know you're still like unsure, but window is your friend. Like you need to be able to make changes to it according. So you got to be troubleshooters. And this is another thing. Let's say you're frustrated and you're getting that annoying window range error message. Something isn't right. Zoom 6, reset. Let's go back to the beginning and let's change again from there. Okay, Zoom 6 is kind of like your reset button for the window. All right, let's keep going. So now we're going to find, this is perhaps one of the most important things you need to know. Find the point of intersection POI, right, between, find the point of intersection between lines A and B. What if I asked you, hey, like where do they meet? Remember, this is the solution to your system. You want to do elimination or substitution? Which one do you prefer? Neither, right? We're not going to use either one of those. Some of you might have liked it, but we're not worrying. So enter A into y1, right? So we're going to go 3x plus 15. We've already rewritten it. Enter B into y2, and that's negative 3 over 5 x minus 20. Then we're going to press second, trace, intersect. You're going to find the intersection. And then it's enter times 3, right? I'm going to tell you that's basically always going to be the case. Grab your calculators and let's go ahead and actually do that. Press y equals. I will just tell you clear everything right now, okay? And let's do it exactly the way I'm telling you. You could have left this one in y1, but I'm going to tell you to clear everything just so we're all on the same page. So 3x plus 15, enter, and then bracket negative 3 over 5 x minus 20. You have them both, right? And then hit graph. And I'm going to keep the window the way it was because I have a pretty good feeling that it's going to be okay. So if I hit graph now, I see the first one and I see the second one. Perfect. I want to see where they meet. Okay. And we're going to graph those on paper in a little bit. So that's the fun part. How are we going to find it? Second, trace 5. And here's something important that I want you to know. Sometimes the cursor is not going to be on your screen. So watch what I'm talking about. If you go sideways, go arrow sideways right now. I'm not seeing it. If you're seeing it, that's just because it happens to be, but I'm having trouble. So how could you see? You have to look at these numbers, and I'm actually focusing on my y value. If this is starting to go up, I'm going to the right, and it's starting to get closer to me, like it's going higher up. So I'm actually just going to press and hold, and there it shows up, see? It showed up when I pressed the right arrow. It just kept on going up. That y value comes up, so you know it's coming towards you. And there it is. So first curve, we are on y1. Press enter. Then it jumps to your second curve, right? Hit enter, and guess is just saying, do you want me to start? Yes. And there is your point of intersection. You have to make sure you write it down like this, negative 9.72, round it, negative 14.17, round it. Sorry, you can't see that, can you? There. This is the point of intersection, which is very, very important to us, this course. Graph by hand. Graph both lines on the same grid. And before I start, I'm going to do this. This line, I'm going to write down my x-intercepts, and I'm going to copy it right off of it's negative 5, 0, and my y-intercept was 0, 15, which is right there anyways. And then you write down the other line. The x-intercept for that one was negative 33.33, 0, and obviously my y-intercept is right there, 0, negative 20. and the POI is negative 9.72, negative 14.70. So these points help you determine what kind of scale do you need to take into account when you graph this. So this is where a ruler, you're going to need a ruler for this chapter for sure. Not necessarily centimeters or whatever, we're not going to do a whole lot of measuring, but just a ruler. And you always look at the space you have. You only have so much space. So I'm looking at, well, I would like to dedicate this bottom page here for this graph. So I'm going to go right down the middle. And I always like to use my horizontal lines as my x-axis if I can. And I actually always encourage you, look at your graph on the calculator and let that guide you, right? That's kind of what it should look like. If it doesn't look like that, we're in trouble. Obviously, we're focusing on all four quadrants. It's okay to make it like this if you want to focus a bit more on this. But if I look at my y values, I need to make sure I get all the way up to plus 15 and down to negative 20. Do you see that? That's why the intercepts are so good. So I'm going to go, I think I can go 5, 10, 15, but no, that's too much. I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to label every other one like that. That's perfect. And I need to keep that scale. I might actually be in trouble here. 5, 10, so that's negative 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so it worked out. Remember that you have an eraser. It's okay to erase and start from scratch, right? Like you're scaling. So the thing is down here is negative 40, right? So I will be able to get the negative 33 in here. Sorry, the negative 20. Sorry, I went a little bit too far, but that's okay. And then you look at all your x values. I look at the smallest x value you need to account for is negative 33. And the biggest x value, you're basically okay with the x value. So I'm going to make sure I get this in. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, I want to spread this out because I have room. Negative 10, negative 20, negative 30. See how I did that? And then I make markings in between to help me. So again, I'm not going to like take your graph apart and make sure you are right where you belong, right? But it has to be close. So x and y, don't forget that. Let's make this the first two here. Negative 5 is right there. 15 is up here. Sorry. Negative 5, 0 is right there. Sorry. 0, 15 is right there. So I have both intercepts. And grab my ruler and get that line graphed right off the bat. Remember, don't be scared to go past the points. And I didn't finish this side, did I? 10, 20, that's good enough. So you have to kind of be creative here. And then negative 33, 0, that gets me right about there. And 0, negative 20 is right about there. So as long as you make a big dot like that, you don't need to label those. Okay, you just need to tell me that's where I'm going. Go past. It's okay to go past your graph. And I will label the actual lines. y is equal to negative 3 over 5x minus 20. This is y equals to 3x plus 15. The only thing I do want you to label here is this. That's negative 9.72, negative 14.7, sorry, 17, sorry. And it does kind of line up where it's supposed to be. If you do everything else right, that will just work out automatically. I don't know if you have various highlighters, but I will just maybe just show you that, right? These two are right there. That's what I used to help me out. And that these two are right there. Mr. Dirksen and his highlighters. So if your friends ever ask you, it's like, so how's Mr. Dirksen? Well, just make sure you have highlighters. Okay? Then you'll be fine. Right, so let me zoom out a little bit. Right. So the intercepts help me determine what kind of scale I need to use. Okay? I will say this again. I happen to use 5 everywhere, but do you notice that 5 here are a little bit more spread out than 5 there? Do you notice that? That's okay. Within the axes, if 5, as long as you go up consistently and the gaps are the same within the axes, that's fine. If you then go Y and you want them closer together, that's fine. It's like a zooming feature. But you have to be consistent. You can go up by 5 here and by 10 there if you want. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. So page, I honestly, if you can just make sure you master your calculator and the graphing. This is the key. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. This booklet, okay? This booklet, the skinnier booklet, that's what we're doing right now to get used to the calculator. So it's the one with the calculator up front. I want you to do pages 4 and 5, which is like a chart like that. And there's a bunch of graphing there. Pages 4 and 5 in the booklet. Now, before you pack, because I have 7 minutes, please listen, okay? I will show you. You won't remember. I'll post it anyway, so it's not a big deal. But notice what is happening here. How many equations am I giving you? 4. Every single one is given not isolated yet, not rewritten. So you have to rewrite every single one of them. You can do it on here, you can do it on loose leaf. For every single equation, you need to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept. I will ask you, for example, if x is equal to negative 5, what would y be equal to in this particular case, right, for this equation? So I want you to kind of fill in every row for every equation like that. That one I think you can handle. This is where it gets a little trickier. I'm going to ask you to find the intersections of y1 and y2, then y1 and y3, and so forth. So listen carefully. You can type every single one of these. You can do y1, y2. You can have them all at the same time, but only graph 2 at a time. So type them all in. So let's say I don't want y2 to be graphed because it's going to confuse me. You go over to the equal sign and you deselect. See how it's not highlighted now? If I hit graph, only that line is going to be graphed. So you don't want to graph all 4 at a time. It's going to be messy, and it's not a color screen, so you can't even tell them apart. So let's say I'm asking you to graph to find the point of intersection of the first and the third. Turn off the second and the fourth, okay? Hover over to the equal sign, turn them off, and then you turn lines on and off according to your needs, okay? And this one is going to put you to the test. I have a grid there where I'm asking you to graph them all on paper. But the nice thing is the scale is already there and it works. That's the nice thing. You don't have to figure that one out. All right. I think you're going to have fun with it. I think you're going to feel good once you know how to use it.